Hello, beautiful people. This video is going to be short. I'm Tina from Tina Travels Abroad. I have been traveling Europe for the last 5 years now, but I left the United States in 2015 initially to travel abroad. I went back home the following year and realized that I wanted to live in Europe and hadn't decided on which country yet, but I wanted to explore more, which is what I did. And then I created this channel, which was basically for myself at first and friends and family who wanted to watch my videos from all the different countries I would try out and visit. And so far it's been 37 countries, most of them Europe. So this video is basically to address a lot of questions I've been getting and some of the comments in my YouTube channel regarding moving abroad. I've been getting more and more of those because what's in light of what's happening, what happened in the United States as far as the election and Trump being nominated, there's a lot of people who are not happy with the choice and are a little worried and a little scared for what will be happening in the coming year in 2025 with all of this uncertainty. I can totally understand that. I left, like I said, years ago. It was to also travel, but it was basically because I saw the climate of the United States, and I don't mean weather, I mean just the way things had been changing, and it wasn't the culture that I grew up with. And so, I understand, people wanted to go and try somewhere else and see if it's a better fit, and I encourage that. So what I want to do is help those who are thinking about it and come up with some. So first, to get you started on your quest or maybe your journey of thinking about leaving the United States, I want to give you some questions that you need to ask yourself, or questions that you might want to ask me for someone who has traveled abroad to many different countries and lived in a few. And so I have some experience with that. Because it's not going to be just like, oh, you can move to a country and then you're good. Once you find one, there's a lot of other things that factor into that. And I'm sure most people know this. But for those who are thinking about it and really want to do some research, I'm going to give you some of the things to research first. So these are the questions you want to ask. And I'm looking at my laptop right now, and so you want to look into number one is, what are the visa and the residency requirements for the country that you're thinking about going to, or countries. You want to research many of the countries that you're interested in, and I'll have some of the answers to these questions in another video, and it may be a live, but I think I'm going to do it in a couple of days. I'm not as consistent as I had planned to be, but since this has been one of the topics that I see a lot of even in my feed, there's a lot of these videos with people like myself who are Americans, which I am, of course. I'm from California and born and raised there. So there's a lot of content creators, YouTubers who have moved abroad, and they're getting the same thing, a lot of questions. So I might have popped up in your feed because of that as well, if you don't know who I am. So these are some of the questions that you should ask yourself on your search for okay. So another question would be the cost of living. What is the cost of living in that country or countries that you are thinking about going to? And cost of living could be what you consider will fit your budget. Now you have to realize, if you're thinking about European countries, which are most of the ones I've lived in, regardless, European countries are much cheaper than the United States. The accommodations tend to be a little bit cheaper too, with the exception of certain countries like Switzerland and France, and and it depends on where in France, because if you're in smaller cities, they're just as affordable. But places like Paris and Geneva in Switzerland, and like I said, Paris, France, and the Netherlands, it depends on there as well, like Amsterdam, those are more your higher cost countries. But still, it makes them, depending on what you want, it still is more affordable than a lot of United States, cost of living, because the food is cheaper, and a lot of things that, your utilities, a lot of times is included in your accommodation. So there's a lot of things, and I know this from experience, coming from one of the most expensive states in the United States. A lot of countries seem very cheap to me, and I shouldn't say cheap, but affordable. But depending on your lifestyle, my lifestyle changed when I started living abroad. I don't need many things. It's not as much. People they're not really so much hoarders here in Europe. A lot of European countries, a lot of Europeans are very minimalist, and it's a cultural thing. And in a lot of times because of the spaces. So that's one of the things you want to ask yourself about the cost of living, and what fits for you, and what kind of budget you'll be working with. Now that would be obvious, right? But so as I was saying, European countries tend to be more family oriented. So there's a lot of things that are geared toward children, older people, things like that. So yeah, I felt the quality of life for myself, and a lot of expat that has moved abroad has felt this very same thing. Okay, and another question you want to ask yourself is the healthcare system. I know that's one of the bigger ones. The United States is so expensive when it comes to healthcare. Most European countries and some non-European countries have universal health care, and even for people who are not citizens. You have the opportunity, or you have the benefit to be able to use their healthcare system if you don't have your own. I recommend when you're traveling or when you're trying to decide, get travel insurance. It's very, very affordable, and it covers everything. That's if you're kind of bouncing around countries and you're not sure which one you want to stay in. There's Alliance travel agency that healthcare company that I've used before. Very, very cheap, and it covers a lot of things. So that would take some of the wear off you. But going back to the question, is that healthcare. Like I said, most European countries, especially the ones that I've visited, they all have universal health care. For the most part, some are better than others, but it's not like the United States where it's tied to your job and things like that. Even if it's somewhere where you don't have insurance, it's still affordable. I was in Georgia, the country, and I had dental work done, a root canal done that cost me under $40 US. So so $40 to US dollars to get a root canal done and have the x-ray and all that stuff done. I was able to keep the x-rays for $40. So that's an example of different countries. Even if you don't use their healthcare system and you want to pay on your own, it's usually cheaper. It's not like big pharma in the United States. So I won't go into that, but ask, those are the questions. One of the questions too. And then another one is what are the housing options? Always look into that. The housing options, how does it work? It's different than the United States. There's no such thing as credit score. They base housing on your bank account, meaning if you can afford it, if you can pay the first month's rent and some deposit, and usually they don't ask for more than just that, your first month in deposit, most places that I've lived in. So then there's options for when this is new to you and you just want to kind of, like I said, bop around and check things out, figure out which countries you want to live in. There's always Airbnbs, booking.com, and they do long-term too, accommodations, meaning 1 to 3 months or something like this. But as far as the options for renting or buying, just there's abundance of information out there regarding that. And as I said, I'll also be covering these topics in another video, the actual answers to some of the countries that are most popular. And then the last one I want to mention is what is the culture and the lifestyle like. And so this is super important, culture and lifestyle, because as an Americans, I've noticed living abroad, and when I run into other Americans who don't live. So as I was saying, it's not like they're unhappy people because they don't appear to be smiling when you go to Poland. Everybody has a serious face, but not all. But that's a cultural thing, and it'll make people think that it's somewhere that everyone is mean or not friendly, and it's not like that. It's culture. It's not like in Italy. In Italy, everyone's smiling and happy and talking with their hands, and you're very welcomed easily. And it's just not that in every country. So you have to be aware of places like that. Of different countries and the cultures and the lifestyles. A lot of times Americans come and I'm talking about the ones who move abroad, and they end up going back home because the culture to them is so extreme, down to, just the slowness of it all, little small things like people, standing too close to you, or it may be small things, but when they're done over and over again and you end up living there and you're faced with that daily, that's something you have to realize if it's for you or not, or if you're better off back in the United States where you're used to having the same culture. So culture and lifestyle is totally different. Really research the lifestyles of the countries that you, cultures and lifestyles of the countries you want to go to, because I know many people have heard this before. It's like visiting a country and living in a country is two different things. But I feel from the experience that I have and what made me choose to stay in Europe is these factors: the culture and the lifestyle. Those are the things that made me stay. So I hope you like these quick little tips that I'm giving for those who are interested. So I hope you enjoy these little tips that I'm giving you for those who are interested in researching moving out of the United States, or even traveling a little bit out of the United States, just to get a taste of what being away from your bubble is like. I'm going to be posting more of videos such as these, and maybe I'd like to do a live so I can be able to talk to those people and answer questions, have a Q&A session for those who want to ask those deeper questions. And, I can give you answers to, or send you in the right direction of where to look or where to research. So I hope that this was something that can give you a realistic view of what it's like to think about moving abroad. I didn't leave a lot of questions you should ask yourself, but the next video I'll have more. So please subscribe to my channel, because now that I'm starting to do more of these videos, I'd like to be able to have at least, more than I think I have 600 subscribers, and I'd love to have more so I can be able to do more of these. Once I get past 1,000, I'll be able to do this more often because of monetization. So anyway, thanks for those who have subscribed, and feel free to leave more questions in the comments, in the comment section. If there's some questions you want me to address, I can do that, and I will give you the answers you need if I have them. Okay. Anyway, thanks a lot, and bye. Sorry, my video cut off, but as I was saying, culture and lifestyle is really, really something you should research before you decide on that country being your choice, because culture and lifestyle is super important, especially for Americans, because Americans think that a lot of the cultures are similar to ours, and they're not. And because USA tends to be a country where most citizens live in a bubble with regard to, they don't know what's happening in the other countries or another continent, because most of the time Americans, we're all caught up in our country is so big, and that we have our own worries. So a lot of times when they move abroad, they have culture shock that is sometimes sends them running back home, and it shouldn't, because it's going to take a minute. Sometimes it takes, some people catch on right away. But cultures, when I say cultures, it means, like, for example, if I don't mean Italy, because most Americans are familiar with French culture, Italian cultures, Spanish culture, things like that. But if you were, like, I'm in Poland, and these are Baltic countries that I like to visit, which is both, Poland, the Czech Republic, Croatia, Albania, those places, Romania, and not all of them are considered European countries, but those cultures are totally different from French and Italian and what you're used to seeing on TV or hearing about that's most popular. The culture, meaning not just the food, but the way they do things, the way I guess even their emotions. Some countries, like where I am in Poland, they don't really smile so much here. It's not a thing, but that doesn't mean they're not happy people.